Hello and welcome to the June 2021 update of Healing Arts, Health, and Wellness. This is Charlize and thank you so much for joining me for this video. As promised a few months ago, I wanted to make sure I provided content in a way that everyone wants to get their content. So some of us like to read, so you've always got the blog. Some of us like to listen, so of course we've got the podcast. And of course, some of us like to watch, which this will be the video where we round up everything we did for the month of June. So for the Art of Healing podcast, for this video, I wanted to show screenshots just so if anyone is a listener or doesn't typically listen to podcasts, I wanted to highlight the easiest way to find my podcast, Art of Healing. So if you actually navigate to the website healingartshealthandwellness.com, on the main page there is a streaming player that all you've got to do is hit play. No need to download any apps or any software. Whatever device you're listening on, it should just play right away. Now, some of the podcasts are meditations, so if you do it this way, you won't necessarily be able to download them. But if you like to use one of the podcasting software, such as Stitcher or Apple Podcast, there you can actually save those to use later. Because one of the podcasts that we've done here recently has been some meditation, which you may want to have to do over and over again. And definitely in the month of July, there'll be another meditation podcast. So rather than just, the listening that you might be doing with something else, with those, you'll definitely want, to have possibly available a way to download them. But of course, you can always come to the main website. And then also there's a tab at the top you can click there that is going to take you as well to a streaming player. So for the podcast this month, it was lots of fun. I had actually a total of 4 guests, which is so fun to have individuals that are like-minded to interact with. I started the month with life coach, who was a former dancer. I was so honored to have Tudor Alexander. We discussed mindfulness. We discussed meditation. We discussed a practical approach to do those, and I think it's really worth a listen. And you can find his information at adanceoflife.com, as well on my main website. Under the show notes, you can also find information on some of his books, his publications. He does work individually, one-on-one with clients. My other guest, we actually discussed coming home to yourself for male-gendered individuals. And these are 2 previous guests that had joined me before, Brandy Gibson and Bailey Bruce. All 3 of us are Reiki practitioners, and we all 3 have very different occupations. Brandy is a counselor, Bailey is a full-time Reiki healer, and the 3 of us came together to discuss what we have noted, what we've heard as well, me for patients and with their clients. The sort of lack of an invitation for male-gendered individuals to look into wellness and to look into the healing arts in that way. And so we wanted to discuss how we can lift some of those barriers, because practices such as yoga have definitely taken more in female-gendered individuals, but that was never the original intent. Meditation as well has definitely been something that female-gendered individuals felt more invited to. So we discussed some of those boundaries, and then we discussed some of a program we are working on. And what I'll encourage the watcher is that in the notes for this video, I'll place a link if you want updates as far as when the program will be available. Then one of my favorite topics, which is how you sit and the way to sit. There is a podcast called Sit Well versus Ouchie Slouchy. And then as well, I'm going to navigate just so we can see the images together. In my book, The 21-Day Meditation Journey, I frequently touch upon how you find a nice way to sit to make you comfortable. And it's a term I've been using in my head for years, which is ouchie slouchy. And it also, I had provided some graphics, which the graphics when I came up with this, it was just really fast, really, like kind of what I witnessed when I'm working with patients. And then I laugh at it because it's like this little stick figure and I haven't bothered to correct it. Now, so when I say you sit ouchy slouchy, what that is basically if you're seated at your desk or wherever and you've got your head hanging forward and your chest caved in and your shoulders are pulled forward, this way of sitting, this modern day of being in space, especially when you're sitting, is unfortunately the basis of a lot of suffering, from shoulder pain to neck pain to chronic spasms of the trapezius that often bring people to the doctor a lot more than folks realize. And also, this prevents you from breathing very well. And doing this as a habit leads to mental fatigue and then to clinical issues such as stress and anxiety. So that's why we want to look at how we sit, and we want to sit well. We want to have our shoulders relaxed. We want to have our head upright. We want to sit directly on our sit bones so that we're sitting up straight. So definitely for this month, I wanted to focus on that because I felt that this is something I see quite a bit, but don't always have the fortune of being able to address it very much in the clinics. Lots of people come in with pain that they're suspicious maybe a severe shoulder or severe neck issue, and it's actually just strain of the upper back muscles from sitting in that way. So that blog post as well as the podcast are definitely up live, and you can just navigate to the website if you'd like to have a listen. And then finally, we are finishing the month with discussing how we can use Reiki to help our pets. And so I've dedicated a whole podcast to that, as well as shared some of my experience of how Reiki can help our furry friends or scaly friends, or your large animals, or however. It's a very nice healing modality to have available. And a lot of people don't realize that that's something they can have available to them anytime. For this month and every month, of course, there's always a weekly blog post that goes up, and you can always find it just at healingartshealthandwellness.com/blog. So the topics that we covered there included positive affirmations for each chakra, and these that come up on their website, they're a little bit meant to be looked at on a cell phone, but of course you can look on your desktop. And lots of fun because as I was working on my book, which was based on the chakra system, these were topics that came up over and over, is the feelings and what we associate with each chakra. So that's a short post there. And the slouchy ouchie, and just for the pictures really. So if anyone wanted to know what it was I was referencing. And then 3 ways to reduce anxiety. Anxiety is a topic that I will probably always come back to repeatedly. And that's because, unfortunately, it's at the root of so many of our negative experiences. And it's one of those things that you can alleviate in the moment. You can actually deal with it because it has a chronic nature to it, but definitely an acute. So we touch on some quick ways there as well to help heal anxiety. We also discussed your words and how your words can change how you feel. And that was an interesting topic for me, and I actually had some positive response online because I referenced one of my favorite books, The Hidden Power of Messages by Masaru Emoto. He was a businessman and a researcher who created a body of work studying the formation of ice crystals when these were exposed to certain vibrations of speech, so exposed to certain messages. So he, of course, developed a very interesting body of work and several books based on this that show us that when the body is exposed and the water is exposed to nice images. What you get is beautiful crystals, such as the hallmark of that crystal there. And that's a crystal I think was shown love. And then unfortunately, if we expose water to words of, accusation, you fool, it doesn't, when it's frozen and looked under a microscope, it doesn't form well-formed, beautiful crystals. And this is a concept that I touched on briefly in the blog post, but it really is something that could be delved into much more because we are mostly made of water. And I think we all can attest that we've been sort of trained to ignore how negativity might make us feel. But if you understand, if we're made of mostly water, when water is exposed to kind, loving words, it forms beautiful crystals. But when it's exposed to not so nice stuff, it doesn't. That's kind of the experience we live through, amplified by 1,000. So, as always, thank you so much for joining me. Just to highlight those resources, which basically, if you come to Healing Arts Health and Wellness, you can find both the podcast and the blog. And I would definitely encourage you to stay tuned for the month of July, where we're going to be talking about heart health. And the reason why we're focusing on heart health, because I have my next project that I am working on that I'm so excited to share with others. I plan to share the process all along the way, and we'll be circulating, talking about the heart, around that topic even more in the next few months, leading up to a big launch in February. I'm so excited. So thank you so much for joining me, healingartshealthandwellness.com. You can sign up for newsletters if you just want to update straight to your email. You don't actually have to work to navigate anywhere. As always, I'm Charlize. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you in the month of July. Bye-bye.